In this video clip, I want to briefly derive the Henderson Hasselbalch equation, and this equation actually tells us how we deal with a mixture of an acid and the corresponding conjugate base. And this is the basis of any buffer that we are going to use. So let's quickly write down just a simple equation where we have an acid. And this acid, we add water to that. We have an equilibrium established, so we get a proton concentration here plus the conjugate base to the acid, so that's the acid, that's the conjugate base. And we can write this as an equilibrium, so we have Ka equals the proton concentration. I just write it as H+, that makes life so much easier. And the base divided by the concentration of the acid. And because I just sort of wrote it as the proton concentration, I don't need the water. And we usually would not write the water concentration down here because that is usually included in Ka. Now what we can say is we can try and figure out what is our proton concentration here, because we need the proton concentration in order to calculate pH. So we would use pH equals negative log, just as a reminder, to the basis of 10 of the proton concentration. And therefore what we can do is we just simply rearrange this equation to get the proton concentration. So the proton concentration in this case equals, we bring this to this side and we bring that to down here. So we have Ka times Ha divided by A minus. So that is our equation for the proton. And all we need to do now is we take both sides negative log, and we get minus log of the proton concentration equals minus log of this term, and we can write this as log Ka, plus minus log of the acid divided, and I just write it like that. Well, let me write this nicely. Let me write this as plus minus log of the acid concentration divided by the base concentration. So basically I split this and treat it as Ka times acid concentration over base concentration. I treat it like that and take the negative log of both sides. Now we know what this is. This is pH. We know what this is. This is negative log Ka. This is pKa. And plus times minus gives negative. So we have minus log, and let's write this as acid concentration over the base concentration. I can also write it in a slightly different form. I can also write it as pH equals pKa, and that is according to the rules of logarithm, plus log of the base concentration divided by the concentration of the acid. Both equations are absolutely equivalent, and you can use whatever equation is more convenient for you. So this is the Henderson Hasselbalch equation. What does it say? Well, it tells us that with the Henderson Hasselbalch equation, if we know the pKa of an acid, so known pKa of an acid, and if we know the ratio of acid to base, we can get a pH. Or we can also say, if we want to have a given pH, and we know the pKa, we can figure out what is the ratio of acid to base or base to acid, whatever we want. So this was a very quick derivation of the Henderson Hasselbalch equation. I hope it makes sense, and thank you for watching.